took my way so dark as dark could be. The leaves were shivering on every tree, which don't you think 'twas grief for me? As I was going by Dipton town, I saw my true love sitting down. I saw her sitting on another man's knee, which don't you think 'twas grief for me? I called to my love by her name, so up she rose and to me came. I gave her kisses by 1, 2, 3. But
Grace O'Malley of Rockfleet Castle accepts your surrender.
Now winter's gone and summer's come. The small birds from their nests have sprung. I'll tell you plainly to your face, you're not the young man that I love best.
Ask me something else.
Why do you wish to become a woman of fortune?
I believe that you extended the invitation.
Still, every sailor must bring his own tales of previous adventure. Sloops he waylaid, prizes he captured, songs he traded at a cotton port with some privateer who thought he was a merchant. Unique experiences that are his.
Or hers.
Yes, or hers.
I've heard that you don't actually have a crew, Mr. Rackham.
Who from?
Folks.
Folks around here are louder than I'm used to.
Let's say you do take me aboard. What do we do first?
I ask your name for the roster.
Anne Bonny. And then I ask you one. How does a crew entrust their lives to a former mutineer?
Huzzah, boys! For a friendly bit of land! No word from you, John? This is a time for celebration.
Perhaps if you think a bit is worth a damn crumb of hardtack compared to what we had.
I'll not tell you again to quit blowing that kind of smoke.
We ran in fear, Captain.
You owe me everything, Rackham. Who pulled you from the fire when the Admiral's lapdogs were putting holes in everyone you know?
Same man who cost us every prize we've worked for because he wanted to be the Emperor of Nassau.
Look at you. I ought to turn you to chum.
Like you did those women at the last port.
Do not think us equals.
Reign of Terror is over, Captain.
We met another crew ashore. They had some captain-to-captain meeting hashed out, but I waited until the drink had knocked both crews over, and snuck off to see the other captain myself. Counted 12 pistols and 2 cutlasses on his belt. The man carried more steel than his flagship. First thing he said to me, "Don't skulk, boy. Animals do that."
Then what?
Well, considering the captain was Edward Teach, And considering the patterns established earlier that day,
Ooh.
cutlasses came out. He put them at my neck, like this. You be teach.
How many times has your life been threatened today, boy?
I try not to keep track.
Why?
Bad for morale. I either impressed or amused him enough to gain myself a conversation.
So, you shared a drink with Captain Teach.
I'm sure no one else would believe it, but he even complimented me on the one thing Vane hated me most for.
Calico.
So 1 month went by without taking a single prize. The crew spotted a French man-o-war, took some shore leave to plan a raid.
You risk every man's life for a bit of glory?
It didn't stop you at Nassau. It didn't stop you from trying to rook Blackbeard into a damn land war.
Stand down, Rackham. The risk of attacking a ship that
The
size.
risks will be worth gaining a new flagship. The captain would give us another month of choking down dried meat and pining after sirens. He'd let deserters abscond with the prizes that we bled for.
The captain's word is final.
That's what you said when we let you kill women and torture prisoners. We want a captain who won't sell our death warrants out of spite just because no one wants him as king of the Caribbean. I've had enough steel on my neck on this voyage, Vane. One more step, you'll swim to Davy Jones with lead teeth.
Then who will lead this crew of ingrates?
Jack Rackham. All in favor? Aye! Need anything from the ship?
Nothing.
We'll give you a week's worth of supplies. Likely more than I would have gotten if I'd lost the vote.
And then came unbridled success, I take it?
Better than we did with Vane. We stole a sloop right out from under the noses of the Spanish. Didn't have to kill a single one. We even tricked them into destroying Vane's old ship. We were basically ghosts.
Then why take the king's pardon? I'd have melted that gold down into a nice Anne Bonny figurehead and thrown the rest at a good medium.
I can always add Jamaica to our tour.
Jack,
Anne.
my husband knows about us.
The pirate?
He's an informant for the governor. I told you.
Tell me how it went.
Fine. You be James.
Every man was called fairly in turn concerning the prizes we raked from the brine. But if any man should defraud the company to the value of $1 in plate, jewels, or money, marooning was the punishment. Ah, it was a barbarous custom. You were left upon some uninhabited cape or island with nothing but a gun, a few shot, a bottle of water. If you defrauded only an individual, the company would settle for slitting your ears and nose and throwing you overboard to some place where you're sure to get salt in your cuts. To desert the company in time of battle was punished with death or marooning.
And how did Captain Roberts punish the balladeer whose lips never seemed to close?
No boy or woman was to be allowed amongst them. If any man was caught seducing a member of the latter sex and carrying her to sea in disguise or otherwise, punishment was death or marooning. If any woman was found amongst the company, a sentinel was to be placed before her to prevent ill consequences from such a dangerous instrument of quarrel and chaos.
Instrument?
A date with the old cat o' nine tails can be arranged for those who interject. Ever been lashed in public?
But he was a pirate.
Yeah. Tells everyone he was Roberts' best mate,
But Roberts is doing fine without him.
Aye.
You work for the governor. Who told you? I can tell by the way you squint your eyes when you listen. You can't let a single detail go.
I keep records.
Do you want to hear a real pirate story?
Spare me the tenets of Bartholomew Roberts, for they'll be hanging the walls of Governor Rogers' mansion until Roberts himself does.
No, my story is mine.
Your story isn't over. Let somebody else tell it. I'll scribble it down for your grandchildren.
What do you know about me?
I know you can't take your eyes off the sea. I know you never own your own ship, but that you know your way around rigging like a hawk round a crow's nest. I'm never leaving this place. Go give me a story to tell.
What happens now?
I am to be whipped, and the rogue I've fraternized with is to be my executioner.
Fraternized? Whose word?
Turnley.
What's a Turnley?
Another scab. I asked him to ask as witness in my trial to quit my husband. He sold me to the governor instead.
Remind me to kill him.
I want us to leave here together, Jack.
I can't see a reason to wait past tonight.
Crew?
The old crew's not taking very well to the landlocked life.
Benjamin Palmer, still at your service.
Can't cruise on a rig like that without Thomas Quick.
There's just one thing I'm not sure about.
What?
There's a man behind you who's been watching us the whole time.
And you would be?
A fool not to join you. Name's Reed. There's still a spare bed?
We usually like to keep our expeditions in-house, sir.
Expeditions. I've heard them called something else. In public, girl?
Is that supposed to disincline me? Who are you? Calixta's lapdog?
I don't know who you mean.
Me neither.
She keeps records for the governor. Wasn't interested in the story of how I sliced up one of my father's thieving servants. But she might not have a choice if I replicate it right here.
And I've drilled a Kraken in the eye from 2 leagues off. We're all very impressed, love.
Sir, you must understand that we do not know you or your tendencies.
My tendencies involve hauling crates of sugar from their ship to yours, multiplying your earnings before you can drink them up, and not asking any questions.
I like him.
Governor Rogers. Governor Rogers. Calico Jack is the 4th in a month to return to sea with pirate colors raised.
John Heyman's famous sloop yanked from its chain. Like I say, I expected it, but oh, don't call him by that name. You sound like a common urchin. John Rackham is a sea robber like any other we've taken to the ramparts.
Many of these people believe the hangings to be murder.
I've been on pirate ships, Calixta. Boarded them, cleared them out, and been left to clean up their carnage. Do you know what they would do to you? You're on a little merchant rig, cutting through the foam, praying your crates of coconut reach port before your husband's money dries up or your sons shrivel from hunger. You're about halfway through your journey. The salt sprays made you forget the existence of anything else other than the big blue swells. When a sloop materializes out of a black mist, upon their black flag is a skull. That means death. Alongside the skull is a longsword or a spear. That means a painful death. And at the end of the spear, drops of red, like blood. This promises a prolonged, painful death. Your crew's no use to you. Half of them are scared in submission by the flag, and the other half are drunk off the captain's special reserve. They tear your clothes off before they ask you a question, suspend you over a fire by your thumbs and toes, adding bits of your ship's own timber to the flame when you can't answer something they know you don't have the answer to. But you don't hear the questions. All you hear is laughter. Write this down. Send it to the governors of each colony from here to the New World. John Rackham is a pirate, an enemy to the people and to the crown, and great pains should be taken to the apprehension of said Rackham and his accomplices wherever they shall arrive.
Turnley!
Don't be scared. All we want is your tackle, your gold, your heart on a spike, and probably your boat.
Turnley?
No, sir, Richard Corner.
Do you know where we can find a man named Turnley, Mr. Corner?
Sure, sir. But judging by that look in that woman's eye, Mr. Turnley won't be healthy for long if I tell you.
And what about your own health?
This isn't your call, Reed.
At ease, crew. Mr. Corner, you come here to catch turtles, right?
Aye, but not much luck today, honestly.
Never mind. What does Turnley keep on that boat?
A few nets like this, a barrel of salt fish for sea camp, some bait, and each of our chests.
Think you can carry all that yourself?
I always do. Takes me a few trips, but sure.
Then, Mr. Corner, consider yourself to be in possession of a job offer.
Where are you from, Reed?
England. Thanks for asking.
Just making conversation. I'm from the Kingdom of Ireland. Dad dragged me to Nassau when he accidentally spawned me with his maid.
Do you still think I'm Calixta's lackey?
Her tentacles don't spread this far. And it's been 6 months. Tell me more about you.
This drink's blowing me down. I'll be lucky if I can even remember any detail of myself tonight.
Good night, Reed. So they open the box, and inside there's a roasted pig. Like a whole roasted pig with the head and the eyes and everything. He starts swinging and he doesn't even know what to do. He just walks out.
Make room for a lad that's come from seas.
Mates, you look upon the crew of Captain Jack Rackham. You mind filling one of those up for us?
Wouldn't you like a doily for yours? If you wanted to shoot at Left Eye Barrigan, you waited too long.
Left eye?
Everybody swings for it, but no one's hit it.
Do you really think that a shootout between people of fortune is good for business, Barrigan?
I think putting a hole in you is pretty good for my business. We're a nose blow from Port Royal. I reckon I could sell you to the governor. I got a proposition for you, Calico Jack. You see, I got a lead that's sure to please if you have any guts between you. I'll even keep any part of the treasure that you see fit.
One cruise, Mr. Barrigan.
Ah, that's the spirit.
How do you suppose sailors deal with not seeing a woman for months?
The ship I'm looking for has a woman aboard.
Poor girl.
No. She's a pirate.
A pirate?
Don't get excited. Rogers is gonna sink her. Or hang her with the rest.
Dirk says they're hanging somebody every day now.
They're gonna start asking why you're here so much.
Let's leave Nassau, Calixto.
And then what? We leave the harbor and you become a herring girl again?
Because of your pride. Put me back on the water and see if I complain then. Do you remember what you were when you came here?
You know I don't.
Well, I do. Let's board a ship, like your pirate girl, and then live a vagrant life.
I'd end up marooning us somewhere. It's bad enough that I did it to myself, but...
I'm learning to sail. I can point the bowsprit and you can write all about it.
I have to get dressed.
So, he thought he would steal a famous sloop. Take prisoners and what? take refuge at the edge of the map?
He also took a woman, a wife.
Poor girl.
Rather hysterical witness rode all the way here to report Rackham's vicious assault on numerous fishing vessels. I hesitate to think of the games they're playing with their prisoners now.
I've brought in worse than Calico, Jack. You know this. You hired me to bring them in.
Your first mistake is assuming that any pirate is worse or better than any other. A brash rogue who'd knife you in the alley and scatter your hard-earned coin in a house of ill repute is no more heroic when he has a boat. I've been at sea all my life, crossed swords with men who fancied themselves leviathans, endured every insult a pirate could come up with, and I've decorated the Caribbean with their skeletons.
And here I thought I would get to keel-haul them myself. But that's what a pirate would do. I've heard you've hired some pirates to take care of your more grisly business.
Mr. Barnett, I want John Rackham brought back here, hanged and forgotten. Your men will split the agreed amount, and any non-essential plunder you salvage from the ship he seems to believe belongs to him.
And what of the essential plunder? Are you going to put that in your museum? Agreed. Agreed.
Who was that?
Mr. Barnett, brisk fellow.
Drag every bit back here. Keep what you can. And if you run into any government officials, hide anything shiny. Tell them Katja's got you on cleanup duty, and she'll have your ears for breakfast if she catches you snoozing. Dirk, if that pirate says one cross word to me, make him dance.
Yes, ma'am.
If it isn't love you, leave you, loot you, Calico Jack.
Katja, I'm very sorry about the mess at the harbor.
This man commanded an assault on one of my boats.
Well, it was Berrigan's idea, but again, sorry.
Shoot him. I just wanted to see that look on your face one last time, Jack. Jack.
Yes?
Go easy.
That's quite the haul we got from your little dogger friend. But since your shipmates decided to run off to the governor, under your orders, I imagine, after that idiot Calico Jack let them go, there remains the question of how many fingers to let you keep.
Don't touch him again, Berrigan.
I'll spit you out like a rubbery clam, you little nix.
I certainly hope you did not just insult a member of my crew, Mr. Berrigan.
You would know one way or the other if you spent 5 seconds away from her.
Reed, send him below. Let Mr. Quick get him a pan.
He puts a weevil in my soup. I add steel into his diet.
Rackham made the public spectacles in the apologies, but Anne was their leader, a quiet queen on the salt waves.
Do you play? My father was training me to be a lawyer's clerk before I ran away with my first pirate. So no. Not much time or call for the arts.
Maybe you could pick it up.
When Jack and I settle. Maybe.
Did you mean what you said when you wanted to know more about me?
Yeah.
I was in the military a few years back. Got scooped up by pirates a couple of times, but they never did keep me on board. I suppose I got into the life by accident. Or maybe it was the result of some pattern I couldn't ignore any longer. But privateering's no better than piracy. At least we're free. At least we're not at the beck and call of some invisible monarch who would snap a cabin boy's neck as soon as a veteran pirate's.
Calixta's just like them. She just watches.
Where did she come from?
They say she just washed ashore one day. She was all alone in a small dinghy. It was expertly trimmed, as if whoever'd captained the thing had been a sailing prodigy. But no one would believe a woman had done it. She was unconscious and torched by the sun when they found her. A rescue, they called it. And then the governor saw an opportunity to exhibit his infinite generosity and gave her a job when he found out she was educated. I met her one day when my husband was ranting. It all just happens one day, doesn't it?
Well, they're not going to get you. Until we're done here, I'm behind you. Anne. Mary Reed, at your convenience.
I knew when we first met.
Please keep it from the crew.
Jack suspects us. We have to tell him. Can Mary stay on the crew?
Is that even a question?
And you were going to kill her.
So were you, if I recall.
Ma'am, I'm bereft of time, so I'll make this painless. We're in search of a band of pirates. Their leader calls himself Calico Jack. They have a woman with them who goes by the name of Bonny.
What colors do they fly?
Skull with crossed swords. It is unlikely you would have mistaken them for British officers.
The smell might have been a giveaway, too.
Well, at least they don't have the rot stench of the gallows on them.
Not yet, leastways. Mr. Squint, what does the law say happens to men who turn good ships into torture chambers and treasure holds?
Hung by the neck till dead, sir.
And, Mr. Squint, what of those who aid said brigands? Whether it's to row their boat to the nearest house of ill repute, or withholding information from the law.
Hung by the neck till quite dead, sir.
In fact, Mr. Squint, don't you think that every individual in the Caribbean with an unslit throat has a responsibility to the government, nay, the king, to aid in the capture and execution of any who sympathize with salt sea buccaneers?
I reckon so, sir.
I once witnessed a particularly memorable execution. The accused was no one to remember, mind you, some pirate or another. The hangman failed to place the eye of the noose properly. What was supposed to be a long drop, that is when the ropes slack and the distance of the drop are matched to the victim's weight, to ensure a nice clean snap on impact. Well, what occurred was much more like the old standard drop. When that happens, the victim usually dies of strangulation over about 20 minutes. The funny thing about it is, the lack of blood to the brain prevents them from even struggling. So not only did this man rob innocent people of their wares, he robbed everyone in attendance of that satisfying snap. It turned out to be quite a bore. I couldn't even muster the energy to finish my tea.
This is a shakedown, Captain Barnett. Is this what the king wishes to see done?
I wouldn't know. I've never met him. His blubbery arm only reaches so far before he relies on his sharks. Oh, and do you know who else was executed that day? 8 turtlers. And do you know what their crime was?
They plundered some old lady's sugar cupboard?
No. Accepting an invitation to a pirate's vessel for a bowl of punch. A somewhat unlucky development. I'm sure you'd agree. Where's Calico Jack, Kaja?
Found this in Bond's cabin. She must have picked it up in Jamaica.
Are we supposed to know what this is?
Didn't you see her spilling her insides this morning? She's brought a curse with her.
Bad fortune to have a woman aboard.
Well, then you better throw out all the plate and cinnamon we split from the last haul. Painted and all that.
I'll have my way with you yet.
Better hurry up. Only a few hours left of this partnership.
Then what?
More aboard you'll go.
I don't think so. This ship's starting to grow on me. I don't think I'll leave so soon. You earned yourself a carman's with Left Eye Berrigan, on shore, 4 o'clock. Get yourself a sword and pistol. 4 o'clock.
Long years since I saw the moon be red. On brave man before.
Friends, it won't be long before all our candles are burnt out.
Through all my sultry men. Glory, oh, glory.
The captain has a map with him.
He's had it since we sailed with Vane.
Paid an Obeha in the West Indies half his winnings to scribble it out for him. He thought she could interpret the wishes of the dead. He doesn't even know what island it depicts, or if it's even a real place.
Now and then, when we make port, he just walks.
And what happens if Calico and Bond just keep walking forever?
So dies the pirate.
Some died by the wayside, some died 'neath the stranger, and wise men once said that their cause.
Then Berrigan comes back and tries to take the ship, like he's been planning since we yanked him offshore. Then we send him to the mermaids with a nice new set of iron bracelets, and elect someone else.
Read.
The captain will be back.
If the dead wish it.
I look forward to reading what they write about you, Captain Rackham. Pirate. Sails the West Indies. Guzzles 3 too many jars. Flips a voodoo recipe from a sorceress. Somehow convinces himself he has a map to the heart of every island.
Or just one he hasn't found yet. I can't be the only curious one, though. You always show up after I walk the last 10 paces, don't you?
The men of my time would call it professional curiosity. Shadow research.
The men of my time would tell a dandy like you to dive headfirst into the prickle holly bush. And the women of my time would not be so polite.
You love that bastard girl, don't you?
If you're not gonna dig, little Cayman's got short piers aplenty.
It's a reckless adventure, Jack.
Reckless? Do I need to remind you who destroyed Panama?
2,000 men on warships. I had a hero's welcome waiting for me in Port Royal. You and your band have the noose.
Well, I'm sorry that we cannot all be misunderstood aristocrats with the king's blessing.
You had the king's blessing. The pardon?
Yes, the freedom to beg for coins with nothing but a tin can to our name. Let me ask you something. What if Elizabeth has been sentenced to public lashing for the crime of caring about you? You'd have turned 70 guns on that port before the next wave broke.
He's polished his boots and slung his hook
for the trot to the gallows trees. They spied him a plundering down by the lee. All eyes on the pirate. They'll fit him for chains and scorch his name for the march to the gallows trees. 'Twas a sacking array down the cold salt sea, for which they named him pirate. A drop and a cheer in a wind-blown cage, they file from the gallows trees, and none will leave their tears in his wake, save me, so dies the pirate.
First blood.
You know, if you twist a small cord around a man's head, apply the proper pressure, his eyes eventually burst from his skull. It's actually really useful for finding where the gold is. More efficient than keel haul or marooning. See, we had little time for such ceremony. But let none say, you did not treat the girls with respect.
Doesn't sound like you let anyone say much of anything.
My dear Calico. Oh, what have you found?
Nothing I did not leave here before.
Falcon! She strikes me, put an ounce of lead in her.
You know, I almost thought you'd uncovered that glittering trove you used to go on about, Jack. Remind me, what magical island was it buried on?
I'm going to meet my crew now.
Buccaneers, do not bury their treasure, Calico. How many men have you sailed with who didn't spend his winnings before he'd even counted it?
I know you've been away for a while, but perhaps you've heard of William Kidd?
He buried that gold out of desperation. Still got him the gibbet string. Half of his gold was confiscated, the other half, myth. It'd simply lacerate me to see you dance the hempen jig before you got a chance to spend one full batch of coffers.
Admit it. You're rooting for me.
Ascribe no value to that. I spent the first 2/3 of my life taking cities, nothing but my paid crew rooting for me. The last third I spent governing Jamaica. Imprudent and unfit to have anything to do with civil government, is I believe how they described it. But the rum was brimming every night, Jack.
And then you died of a bad cough. Fat and drunk, didn't you?
That seems to be the story, but it's not what they remember. See you at the Trove, Jack.
Where's Berrigan?
10 fathoms closer to hell.
How does our prisoner feel about little Cayman?
Finds it just right, Captain. Told me he may swipe a parrot from the marketplace. Apparently, they're very good company.
In that case, I want him off my ship.
I'll give him the good news.
Thank you.
Don't you get any ideas about leaving? Suppose we do make it. What would make you happiest?
A roast, a toast, and a song.
Land.
A big ship of my own.
The sea's my home.
Jack?
I've heard stories about a kingdom in Madagascar. No one strung over a flame, no beggars, no privateers, no lashes, no treasure hoards, no Henry Morgans, beds of coconut frond.
Seeing that before we die.
Le capitaine de Saint-Malo,
Allez, allô,
qui fait la pêche au cachalot.
allez, 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 allô, allez, allô,
Il a trois filles qui font le pot.
allez, allô,
La première à Valparaiso.
allez, 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 allô, allez, allô,
La deuxième à Rio Janeiro.
allez, allô,
Et la troisième à San Francisco.
allez, 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 allô, allez, allô.
This is Jonathan Barnett, privateer for Governor Rogers of Nassau. With whom do I speak?
John Rackham of Cuba.
Surround them.
Il mange la viande et laisse les os.
Allez, allô,
Il boit le vin à trois rouleaux.
allez, 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 allô, allez, allô,
À la manure le basco.
allez, allô,
Te dresse à coupe de cabillaud.
allez, 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 allô, allez, allô,
Le lieutenant envoie le haut.
allez, allô.
À coupe de bateau dans le dos.
They'll convict Calico Jack, but they'll hold the entire crew until they're rotted and weak.
John Rackham, you and your crew are found guilty of the charges that you did piratically, feloniously, and in a hostile manner take several certain fishing boats and assault their fishermen. That you did upon the high seas set upon, shoot at, and take 2 certain merchant sloops. And that you did nearby the Isle of Jamaica take a certain schooner and put its crew in corporeal fear of their lives. You, John Rackham, Thomas Quick, and Benjamin Palmer are to be hanged by the neck until dead.
They'll try the women separately.
You, Mary Reed, and you, Anne Bonny, alias Bon, are to go from hence to the place from whence you came, and from thence to the place of execution, where you shall be severely hanged by the neck until you are severely dead.
Anne Bonny is with child.
They'll receive a stay of execution until the governor can figure out what's best to do with them.
It's been 2 weeks since we brought those filthy wags into port. And the governor's only now asking to see us.
Who does he want us to bring in?
There's no word on any additional work. We're to stay in port till he feels like paying us for Jack Rackham. We're grounded until we're replenished.
Did he give you a number? The amount we agreed upon, plus whatever isn't confiscated?
All Rackham kept aboard was stolen fishing tackle and spices, the latter of which the governor has seen fit to seize. We're not going to make enough off the agreed price to afford a stiff enough drink to forget this debacle.
This job was supposed to pay for my wedding, Barnett.
Damien, it's been a good run. Have a good life.
Before you start singing, little pirates, I'm here neither to kill you nor make a deal. Help her. No one told me she had a fever.
Why would they?
Is Jack alive? Not for long. He hasn't said a word since they caged him.
Since you caged him! This is your justice, Calixta. These are your demons of the sea.
None of this is mine.
You're the governor's terrier.
I am no less a hostage than you. I have stacks of manuscript in my study that I pretend I did not write because every drop of ink that comes out of me is property of the British government.
What kind of manuscript?
The stuff of pirates. Things I've seen rowing the coast, things I've heard in town and at the gallows. I write them just like the men speak them. Why? Because I have to believe that someone will want the true story over the governor's.
So you do want a real pirate story. Why are you here, Calixta?
To tell you that everyone on this island knows your name, Anne Bonny.
Do they want to know anything else?
Anything I tell them. What do you want to be?
Calico. Where does the map in your cabin lead? And what does the red mark on the Spanish shipping lane mean?
Friend, I kept thousands of maps in there.
Yes, but none as well taken care of as this one. Tell me.
Oh, come on. Straight-laced so-and-sos like you don't believe in secret troves and deep-sea magic?
I'm giving you a chance at redemption, Rackham. I cannot save you from the noose. But perhaps if you aid me, you can save yourself from damnation.
10 of Vane's crew were former privateers, Barnett. Just people who realized that they were good at something they got paid pebbles for. Sometimes you want to decide what you take, where what you take goes, who you hurt.
Your idealism could convince legions, I'm sure. I must say, I'm not sold on your notion of freedom at the moment.
Then a little red mark is pure fantasy, Barnett. Stay here. Enjoy the punch.
Palmer and Quick were executed this afternoon. You die in the morning.
You know, nobody knows we released the prisoner. If we need anything hauled aboard, I'd like you to tell the residents that we forced Mr. Corner to work with us.
And hope they'll let him go back to turtling. I say we weigh down the gallows tree together.
They still think I kidnapped you. If there's anyone who can save us all, it's Anne Bonny.
I already said goodbye.
Didn't hear you. Mary is dying.
I'll never see courage like that again. But I have
If
to
you'd fought like a man, you needn't have been hanged like a dog. That song you sang before, you were singing about me.
Courage. Stout. Grace.
Pirate Queen. You see her too? See who? Good morning, Mary. Wake up. We're leaving today. You know, my father disowned me for marrying a pirate. Well, he's written a letter to the governor. He will pay for my release. He'll marry me to some upstanding lawyer in the New World and tell me to laugh about all this. But we're not going with him. We're leaving before his ship arrives.
The fear of death's what's keeping the rest of you rogues honest.
Governor Rogers, we have attempted to secure the release of the pirate Anne Bonny into her father's custody. However, Anne Bonny is not in her cell.
Where is she?
Though no visible signs of an escape attempt, and the cell lock is sturdy, but there is not a soul in the cell. Sir?
Leave me.
All we know is that she was not executed.
go.
I'm Jonathan. Do we know each other? Non-essential plunder, this. So what are you, a ghost pirate? Did they hang you? Maybe I'm only seeing you because of this damned bottle. Calico's last laugh. Fine. Sit down. So, that little scupperlicker let you out before she disappeared into the mist?
Calixta knew better than to return to my cell.
Then, how? That charm we found on the cabin floor?
You don't believe that.
No, probably I don't. But they're going to be writing about this long after your bones have turned to dust, Bon.
Just because everyone who's ever lived has died doesn't mean I have to die, does it? You know, when I was a little girl, I used to think of pirates as these hulking shadows. Noises in the night, eyes like flames of dying lanterns, the whole bit. But you know, it wasn't until Rackham's rig that I realized. No one will take you seriously if you take no prisoners. No point in surrendering to someone who's going to open your throat later. Right?
Hand me that bottle. We are both persons of fortune now. It's bad luck to pirate a pirate. No, I don't believe that either.
Once we get a crew and pass a few jars around, there will be all sorts of grandstanding, so I just have to ask while we're alone. Where do you see yourself ending up after we're done?
You're trying to fool me. I've heard there are 3 ways a person is supposed to answer this question, and I don't like any of them.
I promise, I want the 4th answer.
And what qualifies you to join our expedition?
I'm everything your captain's looking for. Plus, I can bullseye a giant squid with my eyes sealed.
You'll do.
Captain, we're fully crewed.
How about somewhere no one will ever write another word about me?
Dun, 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 dun.
Sailing over the Dogger Bank, now wasn't it a treat? The wind was blowing east nor'east, we had to give her sheet. You should have seen us rally, the wind a blowing free on the passage from the Dogger Bank to Great Grimsby. So watch her, twig her, she's the proper Juby-Jew. Give her sheet, let her rip with the boys to pull her through. You should have seen us rally, the wind a blowing free on the passage from the Dogger Bank to Great Grimsby. Our captain, he's a shangaroo, she likes a drop of good ale. The second mate's a ripstone pippin, been seen in many a tale. The third mate, he's a bushranger, the worst in all the crew. A Liverpool Irish packet rat and a sod of a buckaroo. So watch her, twig her, she's a proper Juby-Jew. Oh, give her sheet, let her rip with the boys to pull her through. You should have seen us rally, the wind a blowing free on the passage from the Dogger Bank to Great Grimsby. So watch her, twig her, and the powerful way she goes. With high heels and painted toes, she is on the show. She is one of them flash girls, ain't she got to shine? She can do the double shuffle on the Knickerbocker line. So watch her, twig her, she's a proper Juby-Jew. Oh, give her sheet, let her rip with the boys to pull her through. You should have seen us rally, the wind a blowing free on the passage from the Dogger Bank to Great Grimsby. Now we're the boys to make some noise when we come home from sea. We get right drunk and full of beer and cause a jubilee. We roam the town from pub to pub, we stagger from door to door. And when our money is all spent, we'll go to sea once more. So watch her, twig her, she's a proper Juby-Jew. Oh, give her sheet, let her rip for the boys to pull her through. You should have seen us rally, the wind a blowing free on the passage from the Dogger Bank to Great Grimsby. So watch her, twig her, she's a proper Juby-Jew. Oh, give her sheet, let her rip for the boys to pull her through. You should have seen us rally, the wind a blowing free on the passage from the Dogger Bank to Great Grimsby. On the passage from the Dogger Bank to Great Grimsby.